Internet, and welcome to Fantasy Knits, a Traveling Knitter, Chapter 23, and it is July 23rd. Funny how that works out. If you watched my last episode or chapter, you'll know the reason for the extended gap between this chapter and the previous one. I'll talk about all of that at the end, but so that you're not left in suspense, I was on vacation. So I was on vacation and I went to a concert and something else happened in between that, which caused me not to film. So, first category, I guess I should introduce myself. My name is Steph and I am I'm podcasting to you out of Dayton, Ohio. And all of my contact information or the social media stuff is in the intro, but just in case, my user ID is work. My Ravelry username is Lulu is Crazy, as is my Instagram for now. So, completed quests. Sadly, there are no completed quests this episode. Excuse me. With being on vacation, I did knit a lot, but I was knitting on a new cast on. And then when I came back, I really didn't feel like knitting. So, yeah, no completed quests. But that's okay because I have some current quests. Now the first one I'll show you, you have seen before, and it's in this Fringe field bag. And it is my Tokerau Shawl. So, here's what it looks like now. I am in the green, and I've still got a bit of this portion. I was working on this on the plain for just a little bit, and it took way longer because I kept messing up. So I was somehow messing up the buds. They're such an easy stitch, but I was messing it up and I wasn't noticing it until I got to the very end, and then I was off. And so then I would have to go all the way back and fix it. So not as much progress as I had hoped to make, but at least I am making progress. I've talked about the yarn before, but I will show it again. This is Woolfield Chartreuse is Loose, and oh yeah, I'm literally right on the brown. So this is Chartreuse is Loose by Woolfield, and this is Knit Picks Hawthorne Newport tonal hand paint. I am knitting these on a US size 4. But I don't know, with shawls, I don't really care too much about the gauge. So, yeah. This is, the Tokerau Shawl is by Francoise Danoy. I'm not bored with it yet because I have taken a break on it for my latest cast on, which I hinted at in the last podcast. I wanted to cast on a sweater for my trip, and I did. So, it's in this bag right here, which has a peekaboo. The bag is, it's by Darn Yarn MN, and I purchased this at Stitches Midwest last year. So this is the Zweig sweater. It always feels weird to say a German word while speaking in English. For those of you who don't know, I am German. Part German, and I do speak German. Not as well as I want to, just because it's American, you speak English here. So my German is lacking, but I understand it very well. So if, again, being on vacation, I can understand pretty much anything that anyone's saying. I just can't speak back quickly. I'd have to, think and process stuff. And I get my tenses wrong all the time. But anyway, this is my Zweig. Let's see if I can stand up a bit. There we go. So that is my Zweig. I'm right on the body, and I am doing the little cross X cables. So yeah, this is my very first sweater with a color, like color changes, and I think I did a pretty good job. So yeah, I still have the sleeves to go. They're on waste yarn right here, both of them are. And there's the body. So I've got, I'm in the middle of the round, but I feel like I do have quite a bit to go still. But yeah, I'm actually really enjoying it. I didn't really like the lace part. I don't know, it just, I had to constantly look at the pattern, so maybe it was just because I was so excited to just have this sweater. But I am really enjoying it. I'm thinking of, on the sleeves, you don't do any, like it's all the main body color, but I'm thinking of doing a bit of the orangey color. I haven't decided what, if I'm just going to do like a stripe or a little bit of the triangles or this portion right here. Something. I think I'm going to do something because I have quite a lot of the orange left over. So this much of it left over, it's enough to do heels, toes, and cuffs, or a hat. I'm pretty sure is enough to do a hat, or part of a hat at least. Now for the colors, I'll grab 2 ball bands. The orange color here, this is Copper Centaur Studios in her tightly wound, which is 80% superwash blueface Leicester and 20% nylon, 400 yards per 100 gram skein in the colorway Tiger Oak. So the ball band looks like that. She, I believe, is a pretty recent dyer. I saw her, I'm pretty sure I talked about this yarn in the last episode, but I got this at a fiber festival in Columbus. The body is in this color, which is a tonal taupey gray with a little bit of a tannish color, and this is by Fig and Posy Fiber Co. in the Barnwood colorway, which is on her Plump sock, and it's 80/20 superwash merino nylon, 400 grams for 400 yards per 100 grams. And I purchased 3 skeins of this at a fiber festival in Bowling Green, Ohio. Again, this is what the sweater looks like. I think it looks so beautiful. Here's the back in case you cared. It's basically the same, just with more short rows up at the top, up here. I kind of did a swatch. So I was knitting a swatch. I didn't knit the whole thing. I did part of it and then multiplied to make, or divided to make sure that it was right. And then I did another swatch. Well, then I measured the body again as if this was my swatch, and it came out pretty much straight on. If it hadn't and it was smaller or bigger, I was just going to change my needle size right here, because I feel like this up here is pretty good. It's very like lacy, holey, so I felt like it's gonna get bigger, you know, by stretching, versus if I don't stretch it, it'll stay pretty nice. Plus I read somewhere that you should increase your needle, or it's a good idea to increase your needle size up here for the colorwork portions. So if anything, my gauge was gonna be too loose, but it looks fine. It's working fine. Now, I didn't wash and block my gauge swatch, and you know, that's fine. I half did a swatch. I just don't, I'm slightly worried I'm gonna run out of yarn, and I didn't want to do the whole shebang and then run out and have what I need in this swatch, so. But that is it, and I am super happy with the way this is working out. So I'm sure everyone knows the Zweig pattern is by Caitlin Hunter. She's just exploded in popularity. I feel like more I'm sure she's been popular, but I just feel like I see her patterns all over the place. This is one of them, and I'm so excited to have a sweater and actually complete a sweater. To recap, I have 3 skeins of Barnwood colorway and 1 skein of Tiger Oak. The needles I'm currently using are US size 5, and the ribbing was a US size 3. Those are the completed, or not completed, those are the current quests that I am actively working on. I have the blanket, haven't put anything into it because it's so big, not going to travel with it. But on the horizon, I have my next sweater, which is going to be the Threshold by Melanie Berg. There's a gnat. I've had problems with gnats in my apartment. So they're kind of everywhere. I feel like they're coming from the sink. That's gross. But this is the Threshold. This is the Threshold sweater by Melanie Berg. This is going to be one of the next sweaters that I make. I already have the yarn for it. I just need to I just need to cast it on. I love the pattern, but what really sold me is this picture right here. The split hem with the diamonds on the front and a little bit of diamonds on the sleeve. I really like it. I think it looks beautiful, and it has an interesting neck design, a bit of a boat neck, so that'll be nice, a little bit different. And the yarn I'm going to use is a Quince & Co. I think it's in Lark, but I can't quite remember. Okay, now on to Smaug's Trove. In this basket, we have Smaug's Trove. So I'll start with the most boring stuff. I was in Germany, and in Germany they make Addi needles. So I bought 3 pairs, as well as this Addi crochet hook. It's rubber, and I feel like this is going to be pretty comfortable. The needles that I purchased are just the Addi lace, and I got them in 2.5, 3.0, and 3.5 millimeters. Because there are not English US sizes on here, I had to make a guess, and I want to say I got a size 2, a 3, and a 4. I believe. It could be wrong, but I believe. So, bought needles. Also, bought some yarn. So, let's go through some of the sock yarn first. I purchased 4 Regia skeins because they're on sale for €2. I mean, it's like if you buy a Regia skein, like a sock skein like this, it's gonna be like $16 to $24, depending on what yarn store and how far from civilization they are. €2! And the exchange rate was, when I got there, €1 for $1.14, and by the time I left, it was €1 for $1.17. So, not terrible. It still makes it under $2.50. So I had to purchase, I limited myself, I got 4. This one is Regia Lyrica color, and the color specifically is 07356. It's got purples, a lot of purples actually, a bit of orange, and then a really dark teal bluish green. I think this is going to be really interesting. Then I got another one called the Circus colorway, color number 03754. This is very Americana to me. It's got a beigey color, a deep navy blue, and then a red. Also pretty classic. Nothing exciting, but I figured I like that, and Americana could be a gift for someone. And I really love this one. This one's called Summer Sun Color, and it's 04438. It is sand white and a beautiful light aqua blue. Very beautiful. And then at first I kind of glanced over it, but then the more I looked at it, the more I liked it. This is also Summer Sun Color, but it is 04433. It has kind of like a bright coral peach with a gray purple. And then when they come together, it's like a light pink. This one's going to be pretty interesting, I think. So those are the 4 Regia skeins. I also stopped at a yarn store that is a chain, so it's kind of like Michael's. In the US, we don't have a brick and mortar chain yarn store. We have craft stores like Joann's and Michael's, but we don't have an actual yarn store that's a chain, at least I don't think. They're all, like, if we do, it's online, like Knit Picks. But this is from Roedel and it is the Strumpfwolle, which means sock wool, and it is the tweed 6-ply superwash. It is 75% wool, 20% polyamide, and 5% viscose. This is the green, which is color number 6, and then I got 2 skeins of the brown or tan. Yeah, brown, in the 7. So it's the same. And I thought I could make a colorwork hat. So, hopefully. The most exciting thing being added to Smaug's Trove Yep. I went to Illuminae. So I went to Paris and dragged my mom, well, my mom wanted to come, dragged my brother to Illuminae. It was one of the major things I wanted to accomplish. So first off, I purchased the iconic yellow Fringe field bag. It had to come home with me. They also had the caramel color, which is now going to be on my Christmas list. I really love these bags, but I feel like once I have the caramel color, unless there's a really special one, I think I'll be good for a while. My nose is just so itchy. A little bit of a tea break. My mug today is Paris, and I have some lipstick over the word Paris. As I'm assuming I've mentioned, I collect these, and I think I'm at 22 now. And I purchased them. I don't like people giving them to me as gifts because to me they symbolize that I've been there. So I did go to Paris. They had a France one, but the France one was almost the exact same colors. I don't know why they did that. When I get it's French colors, well, a lot of countries have red, white, and blue as their colors, but I wish they had done something else. Even the lining was the exact same deep blue. So I only got Paris. When I go back, because it is a matter of when and not if, I'll get the other one. So, the things that I purchased, in Illuminae, this guy. This is Retrosaria in her Mondim colorway. I forget who I saw knitting with this, but I loved it, and I also purchased the exact same colorway. The color is 208. I don't know why people just name them numbers. I guess it's simpler, but it's fun naming colors. And of course, I couldn't go to Illuminae without purchasing yarn. And I purchased what I hope, I feel like it is, a sweater's quantity of yarn. And this is her Merino Sport, which is the Yellow Brick Road, Merino Sport, which is 100% merino, in her Yellow Brick Road Graffiti colorway. And there is 355 yards, which I feel is a pretty plump sport weight yarn. I'd have to check some of my other sport weights, but I feel like that's quite a lot of yardage in there. So this is over 1,200 yards of, I was gonna say fabric, but yards of yarn, and it's sport weight. I feel like I can definitely get a cardigan or a sweater out of this. And it fits so nicely into my new bag. I purchased another skein that I gave to one of my best friends, and it was a BFL, and it had some purples, a bit of green, and a lot of cream. It was really pretty. It was actually the very first skein that I picked up, and I wanted it for myself, but I needed to, I knew I was going to get her one, and I mean, I bought 4 skeins plus a bag, so rein it in. The tea that I am drinking is called Kolnsbeck Mischung, which is, it just means Kolnbeck, which is where my Opa lives. So I lived there actually for a year as well, but it's just the name of the town, and Mischung just means mix. So it's a mix of black and green tea. It's actually pretty good. I bought tea a couple years back, well, I guess it's a couple. I bought tea when I was there in 2016 Christmas, and all the tea I bought just was so bitter. Like, you have to put so much sugar in there before I enjoy it. It smells so good, but it's bitter. The last official segment is called A Novel Idea, where I talk about a book or give a book recommendation. And today's book recommendation is Illuminae by Aimee Kaufman and J. Kristoff. And that is what the cover looks like. So this book is a sci-fi, but what's unique about it is the entire book is written in a unique format. So it's not a straight read through, it's you're reading conversations between people, so chat messages and public notices, write-ups of security camera footage, maps of things, and diary entries, blogs. It's really, really good. So I took this with me on my Kindle to Germany, and I read it in, I think, 2 days. It was fantastic. It's a series, and when you grab the first book, it's a monster. It's pretty long, but it takes maybe 5 hours to read, if that, because of the format of the book. And so the story itself is about a planet that has a illegal covert mining operation, but it's like a mining town. So people live there, there's a school, there's life. And for whatever reason, a ship decides to attack said illegal mining and ends up killing a lot of people, and pretty much the people on the planet evacuate and try to escape. And you're following 2 main characters as they deal with this this piece. Gosh, my nose is getting so red because of how itchy it is. So my synopsis makes it seem like the biggest event is the fact that their town/planet gets attacked, but that happens immediately, like page 5, and you're in it, you're in the war. And page 20, war is over. And so you follow them through space because they're being chased by the warship that attacked the planet. It's super suspenseful because, again, with the format, you don't quite understand everything that's happening until someone, you know, maybe asks the question, or you read a journal entry where it's fully brought out. You're kind of just seeing what the character is seeing right then, because you don't get the background information. Literally, the background. You don't, it's just what they're saying, which is really enjoyable because sometimes when I read books, I ignore those background paragraphs. I just read anything that's in a quotation mark. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. I really loved it. There are 3 to the series. I am currently reading the second one, which follows 2 different characters, and I'm assuming the third one you are going to get all the characters together, which there is another series by Aimee, Kaufman, and Kristoff. Again, it's sci-fi, and that series I really liked as well. I kind of picked it up as a whim as an audiobook. Normally when I listen to audiobooks, I typically pick up audiobooks that I know I'm gonna like but not love, because I want to read the books that I love rather than listen to them. And with these, I ended up loving them, so I had to audiobook the rest of them, but the audiobooks are really good. If I remember what the series is called, I'll put it below. Star-Crossed or something like that. The covers are actually pretty cool. It's always a girl and a guy kind of like floating in space, E.T.ing their fingers. Alright, so stuff about my life. If you don't care to watch, I will see you next time. I don't know, I always listen to people's lives. I like to know what's going on with your life. So sometimes I feel kind of weird when someone's like, oh, well, bye if you don't want to see the rest of this. Do a lot of people skip off of videos when we get to the personal stuff? I don't. I like it. Alright, so vacation. Gosh, I can see my nose in the viewfinder and it is so red. So vacation. I flew out of O'Hare. As I mentioned, I live in Dayton. I'm not from Dayton. I just live here. And my parents aren't from Chicago. They just live there. So I drove up to Chicago and flew out. My connector was in Charlotte, which was kind of weird because Chicago is a bigger airport and you'd think Chicago would be able to do the direct flight, but the flight over was from Charlotte, and the plane was a bit smaller than the one I normally take to Europe or when I go across the ocean. The flight itself was pretty pleasant. Both flights were full. Not a big deal. I didn't sit next to giant people, so it wasn't that big of a deal. At the end of the video, I will post some pictures, maybe a little bit of video of my trip so that you can kind of see some of it. But just to kind of talk about it, clearly I went to Paris. We went to France, so we did Paris, went to Versailles, and it was pretty much a whirlwind. I had a rental car, which was crap. It was a Fiat 500, and apparently in Europe those are like hybrid automatic manuals, so you can switch it between automatic and manual, but when it's an automatic it shifts like garbage. It's so bad, and the Autobahn, you go really fast. This car couldn't go fast, and merging onto the highway was torture because this car was so slow. I mean, I would say it took probably 10 seconds before I would hit 60 miles an hour. It was horrible. And it's not just me in this car, it's 3 adults in the car, so that was kind of crappy. I had reserved a 4-door mid-size sedan, and I got the smallest car you can get at a rental. Great. Plus it took an hour for me to get said rental, so at that point I was like, whatever, fuck it, I'll take it. Driving to Paris, on the way we went to Luxembourg, so we walked around the city, did a bus tour, went up in a needle point thing to see the city. That was pretty cool, had some food, and continued on to Paris. It took way longer than Google Maps said it was going to take. There was so much traffic. And once we got to Paris, my mom accidentally took a wrong turn, and instead of getting onto the highway, she missed the exit or entrance, and at that point the GPS had us driving through Paris, like in the little streets. So it took a long time to get to where we were going, which I felt bad because we were staying at a family member I had not ever met, but my mom had met, and you know, she's my great aunt or so. She's the cousin of my Opa, so whatever that would be. So she's my grandparents' age as a cousin. I don't know. Is that a third cousin? I don't know. Either way, that is who she is, and she graciously allowed us to stay at her place, and we went into Paris for a day, walked around a ton, rode the subway a lot, and went to the Eiffel Tower, went to Luxembourg Gardens, went to where Marie Antoinette was beheaded, which they're getting ready for Bastille Day, so they had the roads blocked off, and they had a lot of seating and things. Did that, and in Versailles we were only able to tour inside because we didn't have enough time because we had to make it back to then continue on the next day to Eisenach, which is where my Opa was doing a bit of a family reunion for his 80th birthday party. His birthday's in January, but no one wants to get together in January, so he did it in the summer. And in Eisenach, it's like a little town in the former East, as everyone in my family kept calling it. Don't know why. It looks the exact same as all other tiny little towns in Germany. Really nothing was different about it, other than it was labeled former East. So we did that, and we were in a pretty nice hotel. It's called the Castle Hotel. It doesn't look like a castle. Just looks like a big building. The room was really nice. It was actually, our room was very big. Ours was very big. The bed was kind of weird because it's like in those old movies where you have two single beds right next to each other, but they're single beds. So that's what we had. The mattress was so hard. Oh my gosh, it was so hard. It was not comfortable. Yeah. So, not comfortable. Whatever. My little brother slept on the couch, and it was a little bit softer, but also still very firm. I should say firm instead of hard. We went to a wild cat sanctuary. Yeah, so they're not just cats. It's actually, they are a type of animal called the wild cat. It literally looks like a house tabby with a fluffy tail. But we went and we learned about them. Oh, fluffy tail tabby house cat, that is feral. Very feral. They were very aggressive. Like I wouldn't want to go in that cage. They were nasty. But that's how they're supposed to be. Not nasty in a bad way, but nasty as in mean. So the trainer that was there, he fed them, and talked to us about them and their names and, you know, why they're here, why wildcats need to be protected and what they're doing to protect them. So they explained how we as humans are free to travel, and it's a big part of our lives to be able to go places. And animals are the same way, but with the highway system and the cities, they are in effect being cornered into specific forests, and they want to get out, and that's how they get killed, because they're on the roads and things. So they build these wildlife bridges, which I had seen on the internet, and I didn't know they were actually a thing, but they are bridges over highways that animals go over, and they're like really big bridges. Do animals use them? I guess so. I never thought they would, but okay. It's kind of like in Australia, they had these ladders across the highway, and it was for koalas. So the koalas could climb across the highway. Do they use them? I don't know, but they put them up. We also went to a treetop place, and so you went up a tower, and then there were walkways among the trees, which was pretty cool. And there was a part where you had a very, really nice view, so you could see very far out across Germany. Went to a lot of castles. We went to Wartburg, which we did a tour of the castle inside, and that is in Eisenach. This gnat, I wish I could kill it. Nope, too high up. Now it's gone. Did Eisenach, and what else? So then we came back. We were thinking of going to Switzerland, but honestly, it just exhausting. Exhausting. Because, you know, with coming back from Paris, we didn't make it back to Germany to my opa's until 2 a.m. And then we had to drive to Eisenach the next day. He wanted to go at 8. We couldn't, so we went at noon. But man, not a lot of sleep on my vacation. What else? We went to Cologne, and so we went and saw the Dome, did another bus tour, walked around a lot, went on some famous bridge, I guess, or went to a bridge, spent a day in Frankfurt, went on a bridge there, went to a place called Hessen Park, and it is a park where they move really, really old buildings. And it's interesting because when you look at some of these buildings, they are older than America. It really puts it into perspective when you go to Europe. Everything's old, but it's older than where I live. It is older than my nation, which is so kind of crazy to think about. Well, as a country, we are still pretty young. We're established. We're powerful. We are this ideal, but we're babies compared to some of these other really small countries, but very important countries. And it is eye-opening when you look at these buildings and you touch this wood, and it's someone lived here for hundreds of years before America was even found. Right, like, doesn't that just blow your mind? Blows mine. That's crazy to think of. That's crazy. Everything that is built in the United States is younger than those buildings. Crazy. I look it up. If you're ever there, it's worth it to go, I think, just to even see the buildings. It's not a date, like you don't have to spend all day there. I think we were only there for maybe 3 hours, just walking around. There's some animals. There's some chickens. There's some piglets. There's little piglets. They were so cute. There was rabbits. And then there's a little cafe that you could eat and drink. And a toy store. There's a toy store. So yeah, did quite a lot of stuff. Some things to talk about. There's something called Mittagspause, which is where the shops close for lunch. Most shops close for several hours for lunch. And as an American, I'm like, let's go buy some stuff. And I'm like, oh, it's 1 o'clock, everything's closed. When does it open up? Not for 2 more hours. So that was a little annoying. Second thing, water. You have to pay for water everywhere. I know this, I remember this, but it is still something that catches you because you at least for me, I tend to find myself getting a little bit dehydrated because there's no free water fountains. There's no free water at restaurants. You have to buy the water, and it's more expensive than the beer, which is probably why everyone drinks beer all the time. Nothing against that, but I don't really want to drink beer all the time because I'm on a little thing called a diet, and alcohol is not good for diets. So if I don't have to drink it, and have is not a good way, but if I'm not in like a party setting, I'm gonna skip it. I'm gonna go for water. But water was more expensive than the beer. Yep. so that was a little annoying. Other thing I don't like is the smoking. In the United States, we don't allow smoking in a lot of places. Smoking is not allowed in most restaurants or in, like, within 10 feet of a door, and amusement parks you can't smoke in, you can't smoke at the airport, you basically don't smoke unless you're inside your car, I feel like. In Europe, it's everywhere. Everywhere. Everywhere you sit down, there's people smoking all around you. And it sucks. I hate the smell of smoke, and it gives me a headache, and so I hate it. I really don't like it. And when you're dehydrated and you're kind of sleep deprived and you sit down to eat some food and there's somebody smoking right behind you and blowing their smoke in your face, it really makes you mad. So being a loud, outspoken American, I would just turn to my brother and go, America wins on the smoking front. What I did love, the bike paths. You can get anywhere by walking or riding a bike. That needs to happen in the US. Bike paths everywhere. When I got back, I looked to see if I could get to work. Nope. I have to go on a road that is 50 miles an hour to be able to get to my work. I could do it, but it's not the safest thing, and traffic backs up on some of these roads, so there's not going to be space for me. There's no shoulder. So yeah, that was my vacation. And just this past weekend, so I've been home for a week, a little over a week. I got home on Sunday, not yesterday, but the week before. And then this past weekend, I was back in Chicago for Warped Tour, which was pretty awesome. It rained really hard on the way up. It sprinkled, so it was kind of misting, and then for maybe 2 hours it full on rained, but we were in the center. We were inside, not inside, but we were at the center stage, which is covered. And then when we left, it was sprinkling a little bit, so we really didn't get too wet. As soon as it started raining, we kind of made our way underneath the main stage. And if anyone cares to know all the bands that I saw, I can write it. I'm not going to. But I saw 303, which brings back all the high school feels. It was my favorite show. It was so good. Yes. So 303 had an album called Want, which is probably their most popular album, with their most popular song. And so of course they play it, and one of their songs that was also popular, it features Katy Perry. And so they had special guests, which is what's so cool about Warped Tour. There's so many bands playing that bands have special guests of the other bands that are at Warped Tour, because they're not all playing at the same time. So they had Travis from We the Kings be Katy Perry, and they had a dance. They synchronized danced, and it was awesome. It was really good. And then at another point, they had Simple Plan, which is a Canadian band that has been around for a while, and they joined. Simple Plan is friends with like everyone, because they were guest appearances at 2 different shows that we were at. So who knows if they were guest appearances somewhere else. And it's kind of cute because they were guest appearances, and then 303 guest appeared on Simple Plan, but just to shoot water guns at us. It was good. And I saw Bowling for Soup again, which is always kind of funny because, again, it brings me back to high school, and they know they're old. On their drum set it even says Bowling for Soup is still a band, ? Which is funny because I don't know any of their new stuff. I strictly know pretty much all the singles from their very first album, and that's it. And that's basically all they played. And they played the Phineas and Ferb theme song, which if you ever watched Phineas and Ferb, Bowling for Soup is who, they're the ones who sing the theme song, and for Phineas and Ferb, that's when the Circle Pit started, which is kind of funny because Phineas and Ferb is a kids show, I think it's geared towards middle school and younger. So to have a mosh pit, or it was a circle of death. It's not mosh pit. It's where they run and, this sounds so dangerous, but you run and you throw elbows and stuff. I like doing that stuff, but I always get injured every time I go to Warped Tour. This is the first year I did not get injured, but I did get thrown up on. So I don't know if I really won. Yeah, I had a really good time. So the other thing that happened, and the main reason why I did not podcast right when I came back, is because my dog was put down, and whew. And that's always really hard. I'm not gonna cry on the podcast because that is not me. I'm a person who, if I am upset about something, I prefer to not talk about it. I think I got it. I prefer to just, it's not that I'm ignoring it, I'm grieving internally. And I know not everyone grieves that way. I know specifically my dad does not grieve that way. He wants to talk about it. He wants to drive around and reminisce. I don't want to do any of that. I want to go to my room and sleep, which is what I ended up doing this whole last week. So I didn't knit, I didn't read, didn't eat much. I pretty much went to work, came home, and went to bed. So that is also why I didn't podcast immediately. I just needed some time. I'll put some pictures of my dog at the end, because he was a really good dog, and it's gonna be different not having him there. That's the sad news of coming home. So he was put down while I was flying over, and I kind of knew because they had said something about it. So I kind of knew that's what I was going to be walking into, and it happens. Dogs don't live forever. And it sucks that they don't. But you don't dwell, you just keep moving on. So, yep, that's why I didn't podcast. But I'm going to be getting back to my typical every 2-week schedule, and hopefully you will continue to watch. And stay tuned for the end of the podcast, because I'm going to be showing some pictures of my vacation, of Warped Tour, and of my dog. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you later. Bye.